So today we are going to be reviewing the SpeedRadarGunPRO app, which can be found in the Apple App Store. So upon opening up the app for the first time, it gives us this little tutorial on its features, which was actually a really helpful little detail. So it shows you how you're supposed to point the camera at the middle of the two car headlights and how you can save your results and where everything is located. Okay, so for our experiment, we took my family's 2007 Toyota Sienna minivan and compared its speed to the car speedometer, the street speed speedometer, you know, those like signs on the street that tell you if you're speeding, and the radar gun app to find how accurate the app was compared to those two.
Yeah, and then we went to two street speedometers in Berkeley. There was one on Shattuck that was a relatively flat location for the car to drive on near the School of the Madeline. And then we also went on Spruce, which is on a downhill, or more so a downhill. And we detected that speed on that street speedometer too.
Mm-hmm. We saw what the speed radar gun measured from 3 different distances, doing 3 trials each from 1 meter, so like really quickly, not giving it a lot of time to adjust, 10 meters away, so like a little bit of time, but pretty close, and 50 meters, so pretty far. And we got some pretty interesting results that we will get into later. Just for a little more context, this is the car that we were driving. It is my family's 2006 Toyota Sienna minivan. So, as you can probably tell, car isn't in the best condition, so I'm not entirely certain of we take care of her, but she's an elderly lady. So, I'm not entirely certain of the speedometer. I did not record any videos whilst performing the experiment because that would be dangerous and I did not desire to crash said car. But just to give you a picture of what I was looking at, as I was driving, I tried to keep the speed constant, just looking at my speedometer right here on the display. Obviously, I was more focused on the road, so there's, give a little bit of leniency. There's like a mile per hour worth of error, but just focusing on the speedometer, I would glance down as we passed the street speedometer and see what it was reading at that time. So yeah, it might have been a little bit of parallax error, but I don't think so. I think that it's pretty accurate and my seat is well adjusted to fit my height and stuff. So all appropriate driving safety precautions were taken. They're very responsible on the road. That's it.
So even when recording the car in the street, it would be really hard for the camera to focus and the circles to focus on the headlights of the car. So what that meant is when the car was really far away, it would sometimes say that it detects some random thing and it goes up to 120 miles an hour for whatever reason. Or maybe it goes to 0 miles an hour or 4 miles an hour when clearly the car's going faster. So there's only a really short time window or like a frame where it actually detects the car's headlights accurately and it gets the correct speed.
Okay, we're just gonna open up the app on the home screen. Now, there's no car right now, but you can see how the two little circles are trying to detect headlights. Those are gonna cling onto headlights, and this place in the middle will be like in between. Down here, you can flip between kilometers per hour and miles per hour, as seen here. You can also stop the recording at any point, and it'll pause it on that number. You can click start again, and you can also save recordings, and those will go into your little file thing. So as seen here, we just saved this at 11:31 a.m.
All right, so this is our spreadsheet with the collection of the data. So as you can see, these are the three different ways of measuring the speed of the car. We have the application, the SpeedRadarGunPRO. We have the car speedometer, and then we also have the street speedometer. So yeah, and then basically we have 3 trials here for each of the 3 distances at both Spruce and Shattuck, our 2 different locations of the street speedometers. And just briefly explaining this, what we did is we took the average of the 3 trials, as can be seen in this column. And then with this average, we looked at the percent error, so seeing that the percent error from the SpeedRadarGunPRO, for example, on Spruce at 1 meter versus that of the car speedometer on Spruce at 1 meter, that's a 15% error, for example. And we did this along here. Yeah.
So one thing we can tell from these numbers is that the SpeedRadarGunPRO is pretty inaccurate and a little bit random. It's not consistently above or below on anything, but that's okay. We can see that generally the most accurate distance was 10 meters in all of the trials except for Shattuck. With the street speedometer, the 10 meter was the most accurate. Another interesting thing that we found was that the car speedometer was consistently about 2 miles per hour, 2 or 3 miles per hour above the street speedometer, which is reflected in our error, where the car speedometer also tends to be a little more accurate compared to the SpeedRadarGunPRO than the street speedometer.
Okay, starting with the pros of this app. Once the radar is focused, it works pretty well.
It's also really intuitive to use once you're actually in there.
However, going to the cons, it does get distracted by other cars' headlights, both cars that are driving on the road and also parked cars that are on the side of the street.
I also paid $2.99 for it, which, is cheaper than an actual radar gun, but also I could have used that money to buy a bagel. So, yeah.
And it can also only do the speed of cars because it's detecting headlights. So if you want to see what the speed of a biker is or a pedestrian, you can't do that.
Sometimes it takes a while to focus on the headlights of your car.
Yeah, and so further from that, it can be more inaccurate from farther away because it can't focus on the headlights.
Overall, we're gonna give this app a rating of 2 out of 5 stars.